This conference will now be recorded.
All right, well, we are officially being recorded, so I want to welcome you all here tonight. And we're going to do as many as we can, as many as we want to, as many as we feel is edifying. And at least through the end of this year, I have Tuesday nights available. Things will change, obviously, with the new year. But we'll just see how it goes. We'll do a couple weeks like this, and if we have to adjust things, we can adjust things. But I do want to welcome you here tonight. I'm going to open us up in prayer, and then we'll just get right on it. Okay. Welcome. Bill made it to us. Excellent. Well, let me start with some prayer. Father, I thank you for this time tonight, and I thank you for these students, and I ask for your blessing on our night, that you would open our eyes and teach us and train us, Father. We thank you in Christ's name. Amen. All right. So I know pretty much everybody I see on the list, Bill and Ed and Judy and Carl, you're all already are Logos users, I believe. I know Judy has Logos from, it was actually Mike's license, and now it's her license. And yeah, Ed, Carl. All right. Well, then let me just start. I'm gonna, if I assume something that's not true, feel free to pop a note in the chat window and let me know it's not true, or unmute yourself and tell me it's not true. But I'm going to assume that you all have Logos installed on your computers, and I'm going to start with the computer app and spend most of the time on that. If we have additional questions about the mobile app for phones and tablets and whatnot, I can try to field those questions as well. But I am not as experienced on the mobile app. I did attend.
Bob, I got one question.
Yeah.
Am I the only one using an Apple product?
I don't know, actually. Carl, are you Apple or PC?
Oh, I'm PC.
PC. And Bill, are you Apple or PC? And Judy?
I'm PC,
PC.
Pastor.
Okay, excellent. And Bill, you're muted, so I can't hear. Looks like your microphone is needs to be unmuted first before I can hear you reply.
It doesn't matter. I was just curious. I mean, it's not that big a difference.
It should be basically the same. If there are a handful of differences, we should be able to spot those pretty quickly.
Well, I'll work it out. I've got my Logos set up here along with my tablet, so I can go along with you.
Gotcha.
Both.
Well, I'm going to start with the desktop like we're looking at here. And a lot of times when you first start up, you might get this home page that starts up with your dashboard at the top, and then a lot of other options down below. Sometimes these are sales brochures, and sometimes these are tutorials and other feature items. I rarely look at my home page. Maybe you guys would look at it more often than I do. I pretty much only come here if I want an easy place where my daily Bible reading is bookmarked, or my Bible devotions are bookmarked, things like that. Otherwise, I don't use the home page a lot. If the first setting I would recommend that we all kind of take a look at is in the top right corner, you have your, this is called your hamburger menu, your hamburger icon in the top right corner. And in that program menu option, you've got the opportunity to come in here and select your program settings. It's in that hamburger item about halfway down is the program settings. And so within program settings, and all of this is customizable for however you prefer and however you like to think. But one thing I do recommend, I always set the playing sounds. If it says yes, I always change it to no. That's just for the startup jingle when the program first loads, and that issue there. Also, at startup, open to, I usually select blank layout. And when it opens up to blank layout, then that means that's exactly what I get. I get the blank layout. I get a desktop that's totally empty, other than the icons I've placed on that top toolbar. There's nothing else there. If you want it to open to the home page, you can do that. If you want it to open to one of your saved layouts, you can do that as well. So it's just a matter of preference. There are some neat options though. You can have it open to the home, which I think is the default when you first install the program. It just automatically opens the home page. So I usually change that from home to blank. But these other options are also useful. The most recent layout, and that's true for any recent layout or just the local recent layout. And that will make a difference to you if you have, like I have a home PC and I have a laptop that I take into the pulpit. And so you can have different layouts on different machines. For example, when I take my tablet when I take the laptop into the pulpit, I have a layout that loads. It's called pulpit streaming. You know, and it's basically it's configured for teaching Bible class in the pulpit, and it has that floating Bible window I like to use, things like that when I'm doing a PowerPoint slideshow. Well, I don't need that layout here at home when I'm in the office or when I'm studying. So that's why I usually set my blank my startup options here to the blank layout. Also, some of you are really into the dark themes. You can do the dark themes if you like, or a light theme, or just leave it on system and then it'll match whatever your operating system theme happens to be. Any questions on that? Any of that for sounds and startup? The rest of this, just kind of remember how to find it again. Content scaling might be useful to you if you find the older you get, you just kind of, you know, each year you come along and move it down one more setting. Yeah. So just base that on an age appropriate level. There's a difference between the content scaling and the program scaling. The content has to do with the books you're reading and the other resources that you're accessing. The program itself, though, centers on your menus and your buttons and the actual Logos program. So that's the difference between content scaling and program scaling. I also recommend for the resource panel background, if you leave it on white, after a while it's going to be rough on the eyes. So I would recommend either a gray, a light gray, or a paper. I typically use gray backgrounds so that when I do open a Bible, you'll notice there's a gray background there as opposed to a white background. That just gets pretty harsh after some time. So kind of tweak those settings if you'd like. Paper's kind of cute, but I've never really liked it. You can even customize it if you really want to get into some of the deep Windows settings. So you can end up with purple if you want to make that your Windows default. Otherwise, just go with gray or light gray, and I think you'll be fine. All right. And then, yeah, the rest of that, just as you prefer, and a lot of it you won't even think about until later. And then just so you know how to get to program settings, you get to your program settings through, there's a couple ways to get there, but up here in the hamburger menu in the top right corner is where you have program settings and that. Okay. Starting with the desktop itself then. You have here in the top left, this is your home button, which is just a toggle on and off. Just click it repeatedly and you'll see it's going up and down, on and off. And if it is open, when you open a Bible window, then the home page will automatically go away while you're displaying your books here. And then you just have to bring it back if you want to bring it back afterwards. Next to the home button is your library button. And so this is going to be, we're going to spend a lot of time on the library tonight, but the library button, I want to show you a few things too with that library button. If you just left click it, then it drops down from the top like a drop down, okay? And that may be fine if you're just going for a single book. If you're just going, you say, okay, I want my NASB Bible, and then you click on it, and the library can go away and you're done, okay? But you may have other uses for the library, in which case, instead of dropping it down, you may just want to right click and you can open it as a tab. So it looks like that. You can also right click the menu button and you can open it in a floating window. So it just kind of becomes its own little floating window here that you can move around, and that actually becomes useful because you can then move it to another screen so that it's out of the way while you're doing things on one screen, and you can have your library in a different window. Does that make sense? You can also drag it down and drop it if you prefer to have it on the right instead of the left. And I recommend just playing until you get comfortable with Logos Windows. It's very customizable. You can fill the whole panel. You can just drag it to the left. You can drag it to the right. If you have another Bible window that's open, or any window, resource window that's open, you can drag it and drop it there. Just play around with moving windows around, and you'll find when the shadow shows you where it's going to be, that's when you let go your mouse button. Anyway, I hope any questions on this. You can drag buttons off of the toolbar, and wherever you drop it is where it's going to open. This really is tremendously flexible. And the more you play with it, I think the more comfortable you'll get with the different options. When you're ready then to clear your screen, it's really handy on the top right, I guess it's the, I don't know what you call this. In the top right corner, you've got like 4 different icons up here, plus your control panel. This one here says close all panels, and just click that and you get a fresh desktop every time. Does that make sense to everybody? Did I go too fast? Did you see what I was doing there? Because I can, just let me know and I can do something over again. All right. Let me start with, okay, I'm going to drag my library down, and I'm actually going to fill the entire window with it so you can see what I'm looking at. And depending on the last time that you had it open, there is a table of contents panel here on the left that is either open or closed, and it just remembers the way that it was the last time it was open. So if you closed it, you can always reopen it. This little icon here on the left, you're going to see this in almost any resource you open. Okay, you're going to see this in your Bibles. Okay, you're going to see it right there. There's a table of contents. I rarely look at the table of contents in the Bible, but it is there. There's a table of contents in any book. If like Strong's lexicon, again, you got a table of contents there. Almost every book that you open is going to have a table of contents that's going to toggle open and close just like that. And so getting used to where that is going to be helpful because you have that here in your library. Now, when you first open the library, if there's nothing that's up top here, then you're going to have a complete listing of every book in your library, okay? Which for mine, you're going to see is 11,151 resources, okay? Yours is going to have however many resources that you have unlocked based upon the library that you have either from Austin Bible Church or the additional library that you have with other Logos purchases. And that's a lot. that's a lot. Even it doesn't take long, and it's gonna be kind of getting out of hand. It's gonna be getting away from you there. So this is where in the table of contents panel, you have the opportunity to filter through different things. And so I'm going to recommend right now for everybody, go ahead and open your table of contents, which is called, it's also called a sidebar. So open or close the sidebar. Let's open the sidebar, and then under filter, the top filter item there is type. If you expand type, then you can select Bible. And when you select Bible, then the type filter will go away, and now your results are left with only the number of Bibles that you have in your library. Okay, those are the Bibles that you have available to you, and I've got 763. I may want to come in here under language and go ahead and select English. So now I'm down to 174. And that's probably sufficient for anything I'm going to illustrate tonight, or anything you guys are looking at, certainly. So now, Ed, when you're looking at your list of Bibles, how many are you looking at there? Ed or Carl or anybody?
I
I
have
have
13.
Okay, Judy, how many was that?
42
42? Okay,
English Bibles.
okay, excellent. And then the one that you want to use the most, that you want to make your preferred Bible, like for me, would be the New American Standard. So here's the New American Standard 1995 update. Now you can right click on that line, and you can select prioritize this resource. And that's going to move it over to your prioritized books. Okay. In fact, it's going to open up your prefer these resources panel over here. And I really recommend you do that. And in fact, another way to open that panel there is up here in the control panel for the library. Don't confuse, this is the library's control panel, and this is the program's control panel. They happen to be right on top of each other. Don't confuse them there. But in the library control panel, you have this option to prioritize resources. I recommend you select that so that we can be looking at this, this right-hand column here. That's kind of a hidden column by default until you want to look at it. All right. So Judy, do you have anything that's already been preferred in that prefer these resources column?
Your preferred is grayed out, but I have it on the toolbar at the top. So I don't know if that is why it's grayed out.
Oh, okay. That's curious. I'm not sure why it would be grayed out, but it is listed here in the right column. Let me see.
Well, mine doesn't say preferred resources, so maybe I'm in the wrong position.
Okay. Yeah, you should be able to. Let me go ahead and start over. I'm going to open up library and fill the screen with it. And then I'm going to come up here to this control panel for the library, where it says yours and store, a couple of other icons. And now in this control panel, I'm going to open up prioritize resources. And for most people, when you first install the program, this box is going to be totally empty. I've got 100 things in here already. And there's a reason why you want to start populating that pretty early in your study patterns. How about you, Carl? Do you have anything in the prefer these resources box?
Yeah, I got a Lexum and the NASB that I recently got in the store. So I just
Okay.
have those two things. The LEB is number one and the NASB is number two. Like, I guess, is there a way to sort those?
You can drag. Yeah, click and drag. If you want to put one over the other, just drag it above the other one.
Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah. So I just have those two.
Okay. And then I would also recommend you definitely want your preferred Bible to be the very top one in the list. Okay. Because that's going to be the go-to link anytime you click on a Bible verse in any kind of a resource. So, I mean, if you happen to be reading, um, if you happen to be reading Kenneth Wiest, or you're reading A.T. Robertson, and he mentioned something in Philemon 24, and you click a Bible verse, it's going to go get the Bible that is at the top of your list for the preferred resources. So that's why you want your preferred Bible to be the top one there. All right, and then eventually, I'm not going to do this tonight, but when we do this in upcoming weeks, remind me that we need to do more of these resources. I recommend you pick your top 5 Bibles, your top 5 Greek Bibles, your top 5 Hebrew Bibles, your top 5 dictionaries, your top 5, everything in sets of 5 will be very useful for you. To your top 5 Bible commentaries. Anything that's a type, you want to go ahead and kind of start picking and choosing your favorites to put in that top 5 list. And I'm not going to go into that tonight, but just remind me in some upcoming classes that we want to make sure that we have our top 5 lists in that preferred window there in the library. And so we'll do that next week or in some upcoming weeks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close. I'm going to go ahead and close that panel on the prioritized resources. So now that's gone. And I just want to show a few more things about how this library actually works. So the filters are good, but they may not be the most convenient way. You can, so for example, if I want to find Strong's, you can just type in Strong or Strong's, okay? And whatever you type in the find window there, it's going to start limiting your library based upon that criteria. But you're going to notice it's searching every field. It's searching title, author, series, type. I mean, it's searching everything imaginable. So you may, and you'll notice here too, if I expand the author filter, you're going to notice there's a James Strong. There's a, let me change it from Strong's to Strong. There's a Jesse Strong, a James Strong, and there's another one too. If I scroll down low enough, I'll find him. So you can use either the filter or you can use the find window or both, okay? And so for example, if you're gonna type it up here, you can do author : Strong. And that way you're only looking at this author column here for where Strong appears, okay? And you'll notice, yeah, there's Jesse Strong, here's James Strong. Somewhere down here, there's Augustus Hopkins Strong, because the Strong systematic theology is not the same Strong as the Strong's Concordance. That's James Strong. But if all you put is author : Strong, you're going to get all of those. You're going to get James, Jesse, and Augustus Hopkins, because that's all you're telling it to do. Notice though, author is different from title. If I do title Strong, now I'm getting, for example, I'm getting Warren Wiersbe on B Strong. The reason has nothing to do with an author named Strong, but Strong, the word strong is in the title. You see the difference there? And even the Apologetic Study Bible, Real Questions, Straight Answers, Stronger Faith, that top one shows up because all I'm searching for is the word strong in the title. So all of these things, from title to author to series, all of these filters, you can type them in or you can click on the filter window. You can be searching your library on this basis. And then if you find that there's books that you know you're going to be constantly using over and over and over again, like the New American Standard Bible, I put in NASB 95, and I know, so I've got an option between the standard version and the paragraph version. If I know that I'm going to be using this Bible over and over and over again, then I may just grab it, and instead of opening it up on the desktop, I can just drop it up here on the toolbar. And now it's going to sit there on my toolbar, and I can just click at any time to open that resource. Of course, now I've got two of them on the toolbar, so I'll take that one off. Anyway, there's other things you can do here with the library. I do recommend, I think at least until you get familiar enough with it, I think it's helpful to have this filter panel open so you can see different things. And for example, if you're curious about what Greek lexicons you might have, for example, you can come up here under type and you can look down through, and depending on how low you have to go, you might see, there it is, there's lexicon, okay? And these filters are going to be structured by whatever you have most of in your library. So my list will be different from your list, probably, definitely. But just looking down this list, and there's lexicon, so I'm going to select lexicon, and here's all my lexicons. I've got 73 lexicons, okay? And you have however many lexicons you have. And then within that, say, okay, now I've got lexicon all open. I want to go ahead and I'm going to put Greek in the find window. So now that way I can kind of filter it down even more, and I can rule out my Hebrew ones until I come back later and I put in Hebrew. And now I can look at those lexicons. Or I type in Latin if I want to look at my Latin lexicons. So it's a nice way to kind of combine the filter with the find window. Because up here in the find window, this find, I guess you call that a window or a slot, a find box maybe, for finding resources. I just want to look at my Greek lexicons. That's a good way to do it. I take the filter for all my lexicons, and then in the find window, I put the word Greek in there, and now I can spot my Greek lexicons. And this is where, if you have multiple ones, I mean, it's not as big a deal if you only have like one or two, but I mean, if you have more than two or three, and you definitely have one that's your top favorite, then you want to prioritize that one as well. Okay, you want to prioritize that one as well. And so depending on what you have available, you know, I can give recommendations, or you can give your own recommendations based on the ones you like and the ones that you find have been beneficial to you in past studies. So, and again, it's just a matter of not left clicking it, but right clicking it and prioritize this resource. And that will then open up this prefer these resources panel, and you'll have the chance to move it up or down or do whatever else you're going to do with it. Okay. And really, for your own sanity, I recommend just collecting together this top section here. These are all my English Bibles, and then my Greek Bibles, my Hebrew Bibles. I have to get down to about here before I start spotting my my lexicon. So BDAG is first, Strong's is second, TDNT, TLNT. So this is my list of lexicons right here. So it doesn't really matter if, as long as they're together, Bibles, commentaries, lexicons, dictionaries, they won't compete against each other. They only compete amongst themselves. So it really doesn't matter. I can take the BDAG lexicon and I can drag it all the way to the top if I want to, on top of all my other Bibles and everything else. And I move it way up here. That's fine. It's not going to thwart the New American Standard Bible as being my favorite Bible. But just for sanity's sake, I think it's useful to keep the like things together with like things. So that means I'm putting my my lexicons together with my lexicons, my Septuagints together with my Septuagints, and so forth. And that's just the program's smart enough; it's not going to worry about it. But for my sake, I like to have them. I like to have them together. We'll say more on that next week as well, because I think we're going to do a lot of prioritizing in a week or two. We won't necessarily spend a lot of time doing that today. All right. No, don't do that. I'm going to close this prioritize resource window. All right. So I've shown you the filters, and I've shown you how just typing in the find window. I mean, this is honestly your biggest friend right here. And even without having the library open, a lot of times you can have the library closed, and up here in the Go box on the top toolbar, you can put in NASB 95, and it'll give you the option to open the resource. And so you can do it that way as well. That might be a faster way to open a book rather than opening up the library first and then trying to find the title. So the good news is, for everything you can do in Logos, there's 3 or 4 ways to do it, which is hyper redundant, but it's a blessing because everybody thinks differently. Some people prefer keyboard, some people prefer mouse motion, some people prefer other things. But I never even told you that Control L is your keyboard shortcut for opening up the library. Or I think on a Mac, it's Command L. It's not a control button, it's a command button. And so the Control L will open up library in a floating window like that. So a lot of times that's, if I'm working in a text, I just want a quick way to get to my library, that Control L just pops it open quicker than anything. You may also find, I'm going to right click, if you want to right click up here on this top column where you see title, author, series, type, and subjects. First of all, you can sort all of these. So if you want to sort your library by author, just click author. And now your library just got alphabetized by author. And you can start scrolling down until you find the author you're looking for, like, okay, Henry Alford, and expand that. And there's, that might be useful for you. Or if you don't want to leave it sorted by title, if you want to sort it by series, because so many of the books in your library are going to be part of a larger series, like the Apostolic Fathers. That's the series. Not everything is in a series, but many of them are. Or you can sort by type. So your ancient manuscripts, your apparatus, your atlas, your autobiography, your Bible, this just takes all of your books by type and sorts them that way. And then, like, here's your church histories and things like that. Probably when you're new to your library and you're not exactly sure what books you have available to you, this might be helpful periodically just to open it up and browse it, start looking at it, sort it by type, and then just say, I wonder what Bibles I have, or I wonder what Bible commentaries I have, and things like that. And just periodically just refresh, just glance at it so that you can refresh your thinking on that. Then if you right click any of those options, now you can see a whole lot of other column headings. This is like a monster Excel spreadsheet, really. So you've got other headings if you want, and you can just toggle them on and off. If you say, I don't care about the subjects, I really want to know who the publisher is, if that's important to you. Or say, no, I don't care who the publisher is. I'm going to disconnect that. And but I want an image. I want to see a little picture here on the left that looks like the cover of that book. Some people are visual. They love the little pictures there. And having a little picture there is helpful, especially if you know, man, this favorite book of mine's got a yellow cover, and that's what I'm looking at right there when I'm pulling up Gordon's commentary on 1st and 2nd Samuel, things like that. Also, I should highlight, this is the default library view when you're looking at the detail view. If you don't want to look at a detail view, then you can change that right up here. You can do a cover view, and you can see all your books right there. Okay. Or you can do a tile view. I can't imagine you would want to, but you can. And then to me, this is the easiest. I just look at the details view. I've got my spreadsheet. There's my library. And I take it from there. And in most cases, I'm not going to scroll down through 11,151 results. I'm going to type in, what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Schaefer. Okay. And then I realize, oh, wait a minute. I've got Schaefer. There's a lot of things that come up. There's 26 results that come up in Schaefer, including things in the title, things in the author, things in the series. Maybe I just want to limit myself to where the author is Schaefer, or the title is Schaefer, or the series is Schaefer. Because if all I do is Schaefer, I'm going to get a lot of stuff, including one of my own books. Here's one of my own, and why does this come up? 1,000 Generations in the Dispensation of the Fullness of Time by Robert Bolander. It's not in any series, it's a monograph. Why does why typing Schaefer does that come up? Well, if I'll show you. If I open up the information panel on this book, here's another button you should know about. There's a toolbar button up here called Information. And you can get all kinds of information on any book of your library, but if I look at the 1,000 Generations of the Dispensation of the Fullness of Time, within the description there it says, a paper presented to the Schaefer Theological Seminary Conference, March 2018. And because that note is in the book's description, when I put the word Schaefer in my find window, it found it. And it populated that entry there in my library. And you won't believe, this is powerful. This will bail you out on a whole lot of other things. So yeah, that's going to be useful for you. Any questions on that? Any confusion with the library? Anything you want to know? Something I haven't covered yet? I'm glad I remembered this information button up here. It's right next to the control panel, and it's just a circle. And if you hover your mouse over it, the helping pop-up will say information. So then you just click it. Most things, hovering the mouse before you click, you're going to get a little tooltip, a little reminder of what the thing even is. So before you click it, you go, oh yeah, open or close the sidebar. I get it. Okay. Or, oh yeah, that's the information thing. I want to toggle that open and closed. So there we go. All right. So if you don't stipulate a category, then just typing a word will find it anywhere. It'll find it in the title, the author, the series, the type, even in the information panel. I mean, you're literally searching every component of your library. If you really want to be more specific about it, though, put in a category like author or type or a series or title or something like that, followed by a colon, then the word. And now, for example, this is author Schaefer. You're only going to get Schaefer in that regard, or Larkin. And you'll notice by putting in author colon Larkin, what do I got? I got Clarence Larkin, but I also have William J. Larkin Jr. And I've got a Katrina Larkin, whoever she is. Okay. She wrote a commentary on Ruth and Esther. Oh, how about that? Got no idea. If I want, I can highlight that and then get information there. All right, that's interesting. Sheffield Economic Press, 2000, so that's a modern, kind of give you an idea. William Larkin, you can see on the date there, 1995, okay. Clarence Larkin, he'll be back in the 1920s or 19 teens. So just by putting in Larkin, I'm going to get all the Larkins in my library. If I want to limit it just to Clarence, then Larkin, comma, Clarence. And nope, I got to put it in quotes. Larkin, Clarence. There we go. Oh, that's handy. The comma is an or. So you can do Larkin, comma, Chafer. That's curious. All right. Anyway, play with that, practice with that, get a good handle on your library and remind yourself of what you have there in your library. There's even an opportunity, I think, on the home page, there's an option to have a yeah, there's an item there called From Your Library, and I recommend you keep that. I go ahead and put all of these on selections. If you find there's some that are just irritating to you, then deselect them and don't worry about it. But I like having my library on the home page because then occasionally something pops in there and I forgot I even owned that book. But when it shows up in on my home page, it's a nice reminder. All right, so how dangerous do you feel? Let's say, I'm gonna go back to Chafer. Let me take author Schofield. All right, so I go author colon Schofield, and I've got 17 results in my library. A very dangerous button at this point is to the right of the find window where it says yours. Those are your books. Those are the books that you have in your you have licenses for those books in your Logos library. When you go to store, these are ones that are available for sale at logos.com. Okay, this is the Logos store, and you realize, oh, okay. Well, that's Sandra Schofield. I don't know who she is, and that's Sandra Schofield, Sandra Schofield, Sandra Schofield. Okay. Well, I don't know who she is, but there aren't any Cyrus Schofield, so I'm good. I don't, until I learn who she is, I'm not going to worry about that. If I want to learn more about who she is, you know, I can preview it. I can bring up the information panel. I can read about the book before I buy it. In which case, there's quite a bit that's there. I can preview it, and usually previewing it lets you kind of see the title page and the front matter there. And then if you decide after previewing it that you really want to buy it, oh, that orange button is too easy. Okay. And so long as you have an active account, so long as you have a credit card on file as a part of your profile with Logos, okay, Faith Life doesn't make you put a credit card on file, but Logos does. If you do have a credit card on file with logos.com, then pushing that button will unlock the book, and it'll charge your credit card. It'll email you a receipt, and you can start reading the book, you know, practically immediately. It'll take a few seconds to download. If you find you accidentally bought something, you didn't want it, no questions asked. You can return it in 30 days. They'll refund that. So any accidental purchases. they'll happily undo the unlock and relock it for you and refund your credit card. Anyway, that store button can be dangerous. That's a fairly new feature. They didn't used to have that in the library, but I'm glad they do. They also have it up top there as a store icon. Essentially, that just opens it up, and so you can see all 87,668 things that you want to buy at logos.com. They're all available, and that could be a dangerous button. Any questions on that? All right.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
let's say you bought a book and you got one of these, printers that don't run out of ink. Can you print some of that?
You can.
Okay.
Yep, you can print. So bring up my Bible Knowledge Commentary as BKC. And, that might be a useful one too. I don't know what commentaries you have in your library. If you look at filter type Bible commentary, I think pretty early you're going to have a smaller list. Later on, you're going to have a huge list. This is also very worthwhile to favorite your top 5 and either as individual titles or by series. And remind me again, next week we're going to do more on the favorites, on the preferred resources. But you should have the Lexham or the Faith Life Study Bible, or let's see. I think everybody has the Faith Life Study Bible, right? There we go. Boy, I got a lot of Faith Life Study Bibles. Infographics, documentation, photos, videos. Wow. All right, I'm just gonna open that one. So yeah, if you want to print, you can print any book. You can print sections of any book. Here's an article on slavery in the 1st century. So yeah, anything it comes up here in the control panel under the print option, print or export. It's also Control P. And then typically, it'll ask you which sections here you want to print. So if I want to print this whole thing on Onesimus Fugitivus, so that's 19 pages right there. And I can either send it to Microsoft Word, or I can save it as one of these formats, or I can just print it up here to my default printer.
Okay, I got another question. These books that you download, they have embedded links in them. Some of them, all of them, most of them.
Almost all of them, yes.
Okay.
That is exactly the benefit to doing that. So, yes, and the links is what really helps. So, so for example, let me just open up a quick start layout, Bible and commentary. So here's a Bible and commentary layout. Okay, and let's say I'm reading Hebrews chapter 1. As I'm scrolling on the left, the column on the right is also scrolling. But then I reach something here where, oh, look at this, and it mentions Psalm 2:7. And all of these links are active so that I can be hovering the mouse to remind myself, what does that verse say? What does that verse say? What does that verse say? Okay. And of course, if you actually click it, then it's going to send your Bible there. And it's going to send your Bible there, and you may not want to send your Bible there if you're your commentary is going to follow. Probably, how are we doing on time? Okay. By the way, I can do this all night long if you want. We don't have to limit it to an hour, but um, I'll just keep answering questions as long as you guys want to stay on and be asking these kind of questions. But notice there's a letter A up there in my tab for the New American Standard Bible. There's a letter A up there. That's showing that these two windows are linked together under link set A, okay? And then you may want to have other commentaries as well besides the New American Commentary. You may want to have the Bible Knowledge Commentary. And you may want to have them, you know, kind of like that. And go ahead and put this one on link set A so that they're all following together. And you've got as many link sets. I think you've got A, B, C, D, E, and F. So you can have up to 6 different link sets. And just make sure that they match because they're going to follow. If they can, they're going to follow. So now notice if when I click Psalm 2:7, the Bible went to Psalm 2:7. My Bible Knowledge Commentary went to Psalm 2:7, but the New American Commentary did not, because this New American Commentary is only a Hebrews commentary. It is not a full Bible commentary. It doesn't have a Psalm 2:7, so it didn't follow, but the other ones did. Okay. I'm actually getting a little ahead of myself here. We should take the time. Let me close these and close these. Let's take the time and show what all is available in a Bible window. That would be handy. Because every Bible window is going to have a toolbar. It's going to have a table of contents pane. It's going to have an inline search option. It's going to have visual filters. It's going to have a fact book filter. It's going to have an interlinear. All right, so and let me also go ahead and open what's the Lexham English Bible? That's another one that I think everybody has. So I want to make sure that some of these won't have all the same options that the other ones have. All right. I'm just going to go to Romans 8:28. So once you get comfortable opening up books and putting them on your desktop, and again, you can open up a book from the library. You can open up a book oftentimes from the Go box up there. But once you get your books open and you decide, you know, where you want them laid out, if you decide you want that one on the left or this one on the right, that one on top, no, I want this one over here. Once you get it the way you like it, you might want to then save it as a workspace. You might, you know, have some other preferences. Maybe if this is something that you're constantly looking at all the time. Oh, here's a good one. Well, we'll just go with this. All right. Some of the features that are available to you are going to be common no matter what Bible you have open. Okay. So that every Bible is going to have a table of contents that you can toggle on and off. Table of contents that you can toggle on and off. This line across the top here that says Romans in chapter 8 with up and down arrows, this is called your locator bar. It's called your locator bar, and some people love it and some people don't love it. So if you want to click that off, you can close it and now it's gone. And if you want to put it back open, you can put it back open. I tend to like it because I like having this thing here across the top. So if I want to go to the top of chapter 8, I can. If I want to go to the top of Romans, I can. I just find it handy for navigation. Also, if I want to go down a single verse, it's just up and down with these up and down arrows, one verse at a time. Or if I don't want to go one verse at a time, I can go a book at a time. I can go a chapter at a time. I can go an annotation at a time. I usually just leave it on verse. And then I'm up and down arrowing one verse at a time, one verse at a time. Common to every Bible would be this inline search button. So if I want to search the Bible for all passages for let's say elect. And now I've got only those verses that have the word elect are now in this Bible window right here. I just have a very selective Bible that only has verses with the word elect in it. Or Paul. All the verses that have the word Paul. This is called an inline search. This is, I don't do a lot of this in the pulpit, but I do a lot of this in study. If I'm just looking for a particular word and then I find the one that I need. So if I'm trying to remind myself, where's that verse that has, abomination? So I start searching for abomination. Now I've got a list of verses with abomination. Oh, that's right. There it is. It's Jeremiah 2:7. That's the one I was trying to think of. So I scroll till I see it. There it is. And then I can just close that window right off, and I've found my way there. So that's where that little inline search button is. That's an inline search is different from a normal Bible search. Okay. So if I want to do a Bible search for abomination, I can do that, and it gives me a list like that. That's a search panel in a search window. All the words are abomination. It highlights them. But if I want to do an inline search, that's where I come up here to do my inline search. I'm going to take a whole Tuesday night to do nothing but searching. We're going to be dedicated to searching. It just won't be tonight, okay? But just keep in mind, when you see that magnifying glass, you can open a search panel, or if you have a magnifying glass inside of a book, then that's a way to do an inline search inside of that book. All right, then you have your filter, your visual filters, your fact book, your interlinears. And not every Bible has an interlinear, but the ones that do, yeah. The ones that do, you can toggle on and off with that alpha and omega button, just like that, okay? And then if you prefer, some people prefer to have the panel at the bottom. So like if you want to look at the word for priest there, and you can see the Kohanim, you can see the lemma is Kohen. If you like having the interlinear panel at the bottom, you can do that. Or if you prefer to have the inline, you can do that. Or you can actually have both. You can have the inline up here. You can have the panel down below. There's your Torah for the law. Just depends on how you study and how you think, how you want the text displayed. If you don't want the inline, then turn off the inline. If you don't want the panel down below, then turn off the panel down below. These just toggle on and off. And then if you do want the inline option, man, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can have 10 different items available to you in this inline format, okay? And that's a lot. In fact, that's probably too much. You might just decide, you know what, all I want is All I want is the word and the Strong's number underneath there, okay? Or the word and Strong's numbers and lemma, or transliterated lemma. There we go. So there at least I can see Torah. I can see 8451. Anyway, play with that. You'll find the interlinear panel you're going to find very helpful. Yeah. And I find everybody's different. Pastor Cliff is different from Pastor Dan, is different from me. And some people just love having that panel at the bottom. It drives me up a wall. Some people like having the inline, but that drives other people up the wall. Yeah, so just play with that, find what you're comfortable with, find what you like. And then once you get it set the way you like it, then it's just simply a matter of toggling it on and off. And it will remember the settings from the last time you had it open. It will remember your settings. And so you can have the interlinear open up and close just like that. You also have multiple. Do you guys have this multiple resources display button? You may not. That one may come with a higher license or a higher library.
Yeah, I have it.
You have it?
It
Okay.
looks like it's there. Yeah.
Yep. And then the parallel resource sets. So that parallel resource sets, this tells you what other resources you have that are similar to the one you're looking at. So if you're looking at a Bible, it tells you, what other Bibles you have available. If you're looking at a Bible dictionary, it'll tell you what other Bible dictionaries you have available. So if I open up the Lexham Bible Dictionary, and I've got my article open here on Noah's Ark, and then I decide, okay, well that's good, but what other articles? Maybe I want to see what the Wycliffe Bible Dictionary has to say about Noah's Ark. Or I want to see what one of these other resource panels has available on Noah's Ark. What does the Baker Encyclopedia of the Bible say about Noah's Ark? So that's this button here, which shows you the parallel resources. And that'll be handy for you too. All right, I think I'm starting to ramble, which means maybe my brain is melted if your brain's not melted, but what else do you want to see tonight, or have we kind of reached a limit here? You know how to open a Bible, you know how to open a book, you know how to open, so you know how to close everything right up there. Put the ones you use constantly up there on the toolbar, so you can just click on it and it'll open. You might find some of these are pretty handy. It's more than Bibles. So, for example, let's see. In Genesis 5, for example, when you want to have multiple resources in the same window, I found it was helpful to put a New American Standard side by side with a Lexham English Septuagint. And that way I could be reading from Genesis 5, I could be reading an English Septuagint side by side with a New American Standard Bible. And so, for example, when I get to verse 3 then, when Adam had lived 130 years, he became a father of a son in his own likeness, according to his image, and named him Seth. But in the Septuagint, Adam lived 230 years, fathered a child according to his appearance and according to his image, and he named his name Seth. And so by having the Septuagint side by side there with the New American Standard, I end up with two English texts for immediate comparison side by side, and that was very useful. I also find anytime I open up A.T. Robertson and his word pictures in the New Testament, that it's helpful to have not only A.T. Robertson, but also Kenneth Wiest. Their books, their sets are so similar to one another that anytime I open one, I want to go ahead and open up both of them, or I want to open up all three if I add Vincent to the list. So if I go to Romans 8:28, for example, where I've got A.T. Robertson and Kenneth Wiest and Marvin Vincent, all three of them have text commentaries on the New Testament, all that are focused on the Greek, all that are focused on exegesis and word meanings. And so this saves me a lot of page flipping, because if I'm going to look at Robertson, then I might as well look at Wiest and Vincent while I'm at it. And so that's a very handy utility to have. So being able to link these windows together based on the resources is you're going to start getting accustomed to that. The more you use it, the more you're going to love having it available. Anyway, that's more advanced stuff too, and I'll have to show you that again about 4 or 5 times before anybody finally learns how to use it. But there are just certain books in my library, and I know Wiest is one of them, or Robertson is one of them, and I use it a lot. I got a button there on my toolbar to open it up, and then anytime I'm looking at it, anytime I have Robertson open, I'm going to have Wiest, I'm going to have Vincent open as well. Now it might be, I don't think Vincent did Philemon, and so if that's the case, then and if I'm going to a passage in Philemon, that it only opens up the 2. But if all 3 have written on it, then it'll open all 3 for you, and it really is handy, and it saves you from going over to your shelf and pulling it off and flipping to the page, and then, oh yeah, that's right, Vincent didn't cover Philemon, and you end up putting it back on the shelf, and you realize this would have saved you a lot of time just to have them open like that. All right. Other things that are common to every Bible window, like I say, this table of contents, this locator bar, all of these toolbar buttons up here. Every Bible window is going to have a control panel there. This, by the way, if your text is too small, you can make it larger or smaller. There's also keyboard shortcuts for that as well. Put it on a link set there. Plenty of other control panel items there. All right, well, what else? You want to do some basic?
I tried to go into the store and buy, I think it was a Sense lexicon. I think that's what it's called,
Okay.
but I couldn't find it. So I'll have to keep looking, and maybe when we get to that part in your training, I'll have to revisit that.
Yeah, so that is that's not an actual resource. It's a tool. Let me see. Oh, you know what? I got to show you documents, guides, and tools. That would be handy. Maybe that's too much for tonight. But the Bible Sense Lexicon, if you have it, it would be, yeah, that would be a tool under reference. So if you type tool and do Bible Sense, does it show you anything?
Oh, it's grayed out.
It's grayed out. Okay.
So I can open it. It opens up a new pop-up window, but there's really nothing in it.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I need to go to the store. And I went to the store and I couldn't find it. So maybe if we get to that part in your training, maybe I'll revisit that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any of that. What you're looking
Okay.
at.
Yeah, that comes about through I should make a list and a to-do list. Bible Sense Lexicon. Nothing comes up. Reference tools. Okay, this is showing how to use it, but it doesn't show how to get it.
Yeah, I think I remember finding something that it seemed like it was part of a larger software suite,
Okay,
like it wasn't in and of itself. But yeah, I
It
was
right.
says
poking at it.
Logos 6. It came out in Logos 6.
Okay. So yeah, I don't understand why it wouldn't be available to you guys. You guys are all using Logos 9. Well, give them a call. Monday through Friday during the business hours, just call them up and ask.
Okay, all right.
It may be a particular data set that a feature set. Yeah. All right. Good question, though. Sorry, I couldn't answer that.
All right, that's fine. I'll keep poking at it, and yeah, if I have to call them, I'll call them.
Okay. So I think I should make myself a note file for things to do next week. This is the note file that I do on Wednesday mornings. Let me just add a new note to this one. All right, so for next Tuesday night, I'm going to do every kind of search imaginable. Searches, and more searches. Also, I want to show you docs, guides, and tools, because those are the menu items at the top. Also, the Go box. Also, the fact book. All right, let me give you the last thing for tonight then. Have you guys found your, come back under library and put in quick start. You should have a quick start for Logos 9. And this is a marvelous resource. You got 20 videos that are in here, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, there's 14 of them. And the table of contents is there. Of course, you can toggle that on and off. But I recommend these videos. These are pretty short videos, and they'll play right inside your program. They play from inside the Logos program. And in fact, I even recommend take this tab and drag it up here to your toolbar and drop it up top there on your toolbar so that you can find it just by clicking it on your toolbar there, and work your way through those videos. Just start watching them. That's Morris Proctor. He's the official Logos trainer. We've had him in Austin Bible Church before years ago. Need to bring him back and do some more of this kind of stuff. And he is the guru of gurus. I mean, that man knows everything. So watching those videos is really going to help you. And if you have time between now and next Tuesday to watch, all of them or however many you can, it's going to benefit you. And then when we come together next Tuesday, we'll just we'll keep building on what we just started. But like I say, I already made my note here for next week. Searches, 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 docs, guides, and tools, the Go Box, and the fact book. That's going to be a whole hour and a half right there, I think. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Anything else? Something you can't wait one more week. You just have to know tonight. How much have I spent over the years on Logos Bible software? You would actually, I'm ashamed. No, I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. I'm thankful that God is a God of grace and that I've been using this. My son is 30 years old. I have been using Logos since he was like a 1-year-old. Yeah, so I've been using Logos a long, long time. If you come up here and you look at your order history, and this is not even all of them. These are my 520 orders after they brought about the new system. This is really only goes back to 2000. They kind of revamped their whole order history in 2000. So anything that I bought in the 90s does not show up on this list. But then, yeah, then everything that I bought since 7/7 of 2000 is on this list. And it's a lot. It's a lot, okay? And you don't really need to see the number at the bottom. It's not your business anyway, but it's all I can say is, okay, if you want, and I've been doing this 30 years, all right? I'm not actually, I don't care. I'm on video, YouTube. I've spent $33,000 in over 30 years, okay? And because this is my craft. These are my tools. This is my ministry. This is my life's work. And if I'm not spending, $5,000 a year on Logos or print books or conferences or travel, I'm going to pre-trib next month. These are the skill sets that allow me to be an effective shepherd for the flock that God has entrusted to me. And so for folks who don't know how powerful Logos is, who don't realize that you can pour 30 grand into a thing for over 30 years and end up with a library that's however many books and yeah, 11,000 out of the 88,000 that they offer. I'm just saying you can spend the rest. I think Gutenberg transformed the world with the printing press, and based on that we had a Protestant Reformation. I believe Bob Pritchett and the Logos Bible software people are more transformative than Gutenberg, just as far as being able to link verses to verses, being able to search, being able to process information. Because this is like drinking from a fire hose, and the best thing Logos does is it lets you drill down and find the information you're looking for. And so it is serious business. And I want to tell anybody, you five that are with me tonight and anybody that's watching this YouTube video later on, because we're going to make a YouTube out of this and share it. This is not a toy. This is a serious tool for serious theologians, and you can spend the rest of your life studying the Word of God. And if you're really, really serious about it, this is the tool that'll take you as far as you want to go. So I hope that's an encouragement to everybody. All right, well, let me close in prayer, and then we'll do this again next week. Father, I thank you for tonight, and I thank you for these students, and I just ask for your blessing upon our continued study and help us to learn these tools so that we can be better servants in your service. We thank you, Father, and we praise you in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thanks, Bob.